Grizz Beat, a full court press of highlights, insights, news, and scoops covering the Grizzlies and the NBA. Catch up each week on the latest Grizz buzz with regional and national insiders locked in on our squad. Running Point from Grind City Media Studios, our host, Jarvis Greer.
We're smack dab in the middle of downtown, right next to FedEx Forum at 191 Beale Street. It is Grizz Beat. I am your host, Jarvis Greer. As always, we have a tremendous panel right here in studio, and we got a special guest, not a guest, a feature of the program who's on the road with the team in San Antonio. Let's start out with our in-studio guest. We have Matt Infield from Action News 5. You can see him doing not just his work as the weekend sports anchor and all-around man about town during the week. I saw you on the snow down there on the island this past week.
Hanging out with the guy to my left. Yeah, it was, I told him one time and one time only, but it was a fun day all in all. So, one-time news reporter out here as well.
Out there in the snow doing some sledding along with Lang Whitaker from
What's up,
Grind
bro?
City Media. You got the Grizzly Bear. You're wearing the bear. That's good.
Yeah.
But you were wearing the heavy coat last week when you're out there in the
I
snow
know.
playing with the kids.
I thought you were out there, too. You were
Yeah,
out there
I
in the
was.
snow. We were all out there on the Mud Island snow this weekend.
We're in your hood.
Yeah, man, that's down there in my hood. You know, you got to come out and rep the hood. And we had a good time out there with the big fat snowflakes falling down and seeing all the, man, these kids came from everywhere. Of course, they wanted to get on the bluff and slide down the hill. That was fun. Did you take a snowball to the face?
No, I did not take any
You did
snowballs
not
to
take
the
one.
face.
You're supposed to take one for the team because you're the adult out there, and the kids are all supposed to be attacking you, right?
What are your friends got in on the mix a little bit? He was far. He stayed out of the way, but one of his friends is kind of instigating
One of the
a little
dads.
bit.
you know,
Yeah.
Okay.
This is the one time of the year the dads can be a little aggressive toward the kids.
Okay, that's
in
right.
the name of fun, so yeah.
You took a few out. There you
Yeah.
go. That's what I like. Also joining us from San Antonio, we've got the one and only, the great Michael Wallace, and he's out there with the Grizz hoodie on. Michael Wallace, what's going on down there in San Antonio?
Hey, man, they're trying to just figure out how to get tougher and how to get those turnovers down. So that's what the Grizzlies are doing out here in San Antonio. We'll see if they can get it done tonight. I did catch the snow before we got on the plane for this trip. The 11 inches that fell out in my area out there in Lakeland, Arlington area, man. And it was beautiful to see, but it was certainly great to get away from it for a little bit.
Yeah, well, it was here today, gone today, basically. That was a quick snowfall. It was good. But what is really bothering the Grizzlies here later as we get started on the program, and Michael touched on a little bit about that toughness, is the grit gone from the Grizzlies, the grit and grind. We all know that's part of the Grizzlies' mantra, but here lately, and especially against Houston, it seems like the Rockets have got the Grizzlies' number. They won 3 in a row, including the last game, 120-118 the other night down in Houston. It wasn't so much that they got out-toughed in that game. There were some turnovers late, but wanting to get that toughness and also the ability to finish games, because the Grizzlies have had the lead in a couple of these games late, but have not been able to hold on to them. What do you think might be a little bit the factor in that Matt Infield?
Yeah, I think the physicality is definitely part of it. Santi Aldama kind of admitted as much after the game. He said that they're struggling with teams that are more physical than them right now. You think about Houston, they've got guys that really make you feel them. Steve-O, obviously, Dylan Brooks, a couple former Grizzlies, but I'm thinking of someone like Cam Whitmore, young bull, super athletic.
Amen Thompson also.
Yeah, Amen Thompson as well. So, and I mentioned this to him on Friday. Something that really stuck out, more so in the Thursday game against the Rockets than on Monday. The Rockets have figured out a way. They play great defense with active hands, but they don't foul that much. Now, you could say...
At least according to the refs.
Right, according to the referees, and obviously there's a little bit of discretion there, but there's clearly something that coaching staff has figured out because they're, obviously OKC is kind of the cream of the crop defensively in the league right now, but the Rockets are right behind them. I think a big part of that is figuring out how to play physically and with active hands and be disruptive throughout a game. So, yeah, they've got their number right now. There's no question about it.
Taylor Jenkins mentions, and we were talking about it, Taylor Jenkins mentions matching the physicality of the teams the Grizzlies play. I just don't know how you match physicality when one team gets called for a foul and the other one doesn't. Now, I'm not saying they lost the game because of referees or anything like that, but it does feel like, we saw Fred VanVleet go to the line at the end of the game the other night on a drive, and Ja shot 2 free throws. There's a lot of times where it doesn't seem equitable.
As evidence, Ja goes to the line 6 times. He gets 6 foul shots. Jaylen Green, who went nuclear. There's no other way to
turn into Michael Jordan.
He got 11 shots at the charity stripe.
Yeah.
He went 11 for 11, but and then there was a couple of fouls, like a foul they called late on Jake LaRavia for a pick, where Fred VanVleet just goes flying like he's been shot, and they give him the foul. And the same thing happened to I believe Ja or or somebody on a pick down on the other end didn't get the same call. But when you get a coach like Ime Udoka for Houston, who has a reputation for tough teams and toughness, and then you go out there, and I think they kind of live off that reputation a little bit, but the Grizz got to live up to it. The main thing, I think, as we go to Michael Wallace in San Antonio, you were there on the call on the radio with Eric Hasseltine, Michael Wallace. You saw it up close. What did you see? Was it really so much the toughness, or was it the turnovers that were doing the Grizzlies in?
Well, I think it was mainly the turnovers, right? So the whole discussion about, this toughness, like the more you talk about it, the more you realize, okay, it's not about talk. Like the Grizzlies can talk about hitting first and being tough and all of that, but it's more about playing physically and being able to embrace the physicality and inflict the physicality. Can you play physical without fouling? And can you respond when physical play is played against you? And I think strategically there has to be better ways to go about doing it. I don't think this team is backing down from anyone, but I do think that they do get a little bit skittish when the game becomes physical and guards are more aggressive and the perimeter players are more aggressive against Grizzlies ball handlers who aren't necessarily natural facilitators. So I think that's more of the problem, and I think they can start correcting that, hopefully today against the Spurs.
Yeah, we've seen a little bit when Dez is the primary ball handler, you have a little bit of a problem. But Dez is a tough dude now. Yeah. And I thought really in that last game when he hit that three and then went to the hole hard and started barking at our friend and his, Dylan Brooks, that, oh, man, I think Grizz got that because they were like matching blow for blow. And it was only the first half of the first game against Houston, and I really thought the Grizzlies got punked a little bit. After that, they really kind of matched what was going on the court. It's just that Houston was able to pull those games out.
Don't you think like those are the games where you miss Marcus Smart?
Yeah, I was just going to say
totally.
that. Yeah.
Marcus
he not only can he match the physicality, but he gets those calls.
He's got that reputation, the same as the Grindfather did.
Even
Tony
now,
Allen.
like watch the Grizzlies games when Marcus is on the bench not playing during the timeouts. He's out there with his arm around the referees, politicking. He's great
he knows
at
how to do that.
And I think that you see that in the games. You see it pay off, and you see him start to kind of get those calls that the Grizzlies aren't getting right now.
Underrated guy who I think can help in that regard too, and we'll talk about him later on, Vince Williams Jr., because as mild-mannered and quiet as he is in the locker room, remember last year, he was matching up with the toughest guy to guard on every team, and he was talking crazy trash to them.
Right.
Luka, Steph, no matter who it was. So I think that
I don't know if he helps the refs.
No. But as far as like the toughness part and maybe not backing down, I think he can help
the thing about Vince, and the same with Tony Allen, Vince has got a huge reach. His wingspan is what really makes him, that much tough of a defender because he's not that tall, so to speak, but his wingspan really takes that out. Mm-hmm. And when you kind of miss that makes it tough, because you want to be tougher out there. But tonight and coming up on Friday, you get a 2-game set, the Texas two-step with the San Antonio Spurs down there at what is their arena called down there? It used to be the AT&T Center.
It's got a different Center, name. I think, or something like that.
Yeah, I forget what it's called. They have these teams, they sell them around here and there.
Frost Bank Center.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, the Spurs at 19-19, they're off to their best start since the 2017-2018 season. Interim coach Mitch Johnson, he's guided the team since November when Pop went out. I believe he had a stroke. And, word is Pop is doing fine, but Mitch Johnson has taken over and done an excellent job with a very young team, but they've got the old number one there, who's as long and lean as his number. That's Victor Wembanyama, who's going absolutely crazy. Spurs ranked first in the NBA in block shots at 6.8 a game, largely due to that man you see on the left of your screen, Wembanyama, and they're fifth in rebounding, 45.7. But Wembanyama, in his second season in the NBA out of France, 25.1 points per game. He's averaging 10.7 rebounds, and just, wow. He's just really blocking everything that comes into the paint. He is so long and so athletic. And it's not just his defense. I mean, the guy's 7'12", and he can go out and shoot threes and is really fluid in his way. He's kind of like a longer version of Jay Huff, but very, very skilled.
Yeah, I hesitate to anoint players too young. Do you think he's a top 10 player in the league right now? If he's not, he's like knocking on the door.
He's close, yeah.
He's right there. I mean... Listen,
for
all the hysteria about Summer League and when he first showed up, I mean, he's got the goods. And it's going to be his league very soon. I do think it's interesting tonight. Tonight's the first time that we will see Zach Edey versus Victor Wembanyama. And I know that when Zach Kleiman talked about drafting Zach Edey, he said, we want someone who can dictate matchups and bring the physicality and whatnot. There is a little part of me that thinks that part of that calculus was thinking San Antonio is going to be a team that we're going to have to contend with because of Victor Wembanyama down the road. And it would probably be good to have our own 7'4" guy that can maybe beat him up and make life a little bit more tough. So I'm not saying Edey needs to be on the court every second Wemby is tonight.
No.
Curious to see how that matchup plays out, though, because that's one I think we could see for a long time
and
to
I
come.
don't know if Edey is going to be guarding him out at the logo. Like
right.
We're seeing him knock
That'd
down
be
these
Jay
shots
Huff.
5 feet behind the line. But I think the Spurs also, like, as much as you can credit Wembanyama's development to how good they've gotten, they've also been pretty smart about their roster, adding a Chris Paul, adding a Harrison Barnes, these veteran guys to go with, Vassell and Sohan and these other younger players.
Stephon Castle, yeah.
It's a really good roster of kind of like, hey, we're not there yet, but they're 500 in the West, which is a good place to be for this young team. And I think they're just going to continue to be a problem.
It might be kind of like this year's Houston Rockets, where last year, where the Rockets really started. They developed kind of slow at first, but then they came on as more of the players got used to each other. The great Michael Wallace down there in San Antonio. What do you think about this matchup? And what do you think about, using, the big guy in the middle for the Grizzlies against Wembanyama, Zach Edey? Or you think this might be more of a Jay Huff matchup?
You know what? It's good to have that luxury, right? Where you can go 7-1 Jay Huff, who's more of a nimble, stretch the floor kind of big guy. I don't think any one guy is going to stop Wembanyama. What you want to do is force him out, keep him outside the paint. If he's going to live by shooting those threes like that, he's just going to make threes. But you have Jaren Jackson you can put on him. You can have you have obviously Jay Huff, as you mentioned, Zach Edey. And what you want to do with Zach Edey more so than defend Wembanyama is force Wembanyama to have to defend Zach Edey on the block. And maybe you can get him into some foul trouble dealing with Zach's physicality. But the Grizzlies already had all of that worked out. They met this morning for shoot around in San Antonio at Frostbank Center and went through the motions of everything that they want to do tonight. And I had a chance to catch up with Jake LaRavia, who talked to me about the toughness and the smarts that the Grizzlies are going to have to play with to try to get a victory tonight against the Spurs. Right, it's the Grizz shoot around, sit down here from San Antonio at Frostbank Center, where the Grizzlies make stop 3 of their 4-game road trip tonight against the Spurs. The Grizzlies had split the first 2 games of this trip in dramatic fashion. I'm joined by Jake LaRavia. Jake, you guys came out of the game in Houston knowing that a different level of intensity and the toughness was needed at the close of games. How do you guys sort of learn from that lesson in Houston and then bring it right over here across the state to San Antonio?
Yeah, I think we've known that we've struggled against the more physical teams in the past, and it's kind of just a mindset that each player needs to have going into the game to just not get bullied and just to go out there and beat a bully. And now that we're in San Antonio, we got to get both of these games, but we're focused one by one. Got to get this first one tonight, and just come out there with that physical mindset and come out here and play bully ball. No one throws their head in the scrums as much as you do. 50-50 balls, you come up with them. Extending possessions and those kind of things. So you're built for this. What does it take when you say not just talk about it, but actually go out there and execute it? What does that look like in action on the floor? Yeah, I just try and be a dog on the court. I feel like it's something I've said since, preseason, before the season started. Like that was kind of my mindset going into this season, just kind of doing all the little things on the floor. We got a lot of guys on this team that can do a lot of different things, and, I try and go out there and be the one that gets those 50-50 balls and just plays hard, the full game, and as long as I'm in the game that I'm impacting it in some way. We've talked about the bench all season long. The bench has been one of the most productive in the league, leading the league in points off the bench. Just what has sort of happened as teams kind of adjusted to what you guys bring to the table, and what's the next gear for that bench to come out and be productive again? Yeah, like I said, I think we just got a lot of depth, and we got a lot of talented guys coming off the bench. So when we go in there, it's not really like a second unit. We're going in there and we're hooping, we're flowing the same way. We're playing with pace. We're playing with the principles that we've learned throughout the offseason, and I think we're just going to continue to get better and better. We're not halfway through the season yet, and there's a lot of games to be played, and we're just going to keep on getting better, I think. Yeah, absolutely, man. You talk about halfway through the season. This 2-game set in San Antonio, you cross over into the second half of the season right there, man, when you talk about games 41 and 42. Does it seem like it's been half of a season already, or do you guys still feel like, hey, we still are just scratching the surface on what we can do? A lot of games been played, but there's a lot of games to be played. I feel like we're still scratching the surface. I think we got a lot of talent. We got guys that are still hurt that, haven't come back yet, so we haven't really had that full healthy team yet. But like I said, I think we got a lot more left to give.
All right, and last but not least, man, what is going to take tonight? San Antonio is a team that's one of the more surprising teams in the league, going up against Victor Wembanyama. We know he's a breakout candidate, but what does Chris Paul and Harrison Barnes and those veterans add to this team?
Yeah, they add a lot of skill set. Obviously, Chris Paul matches well with Wembanyama. They play real well together because he's able to facilitate and pass the ball so well. Harrison Barnes brings the shooting. They got a lot of good role players, but with Wemby tonight, that's going to be the main focus, obviously, and just being physical with him and making sure that we're not letting him get comfortable, and then obviously offensively just continue to do what we've been doing.
All right, the Grizzlies want to be disruptive tonight, bring that toughness back, cut down on the turnovers, and try to get a victory to start this 2-game set against the San Antonio Spurs. For Jake LaRavia, I'm Michael Wallace. Keep it locked on all of our Grizzlies game day content on Grizz.
Hey, that was really informative. He talked about the role players. Jake LaRavia has really come into embracing his role as that guy coming in and trying to be disruptive. And, the last 2 games have been a great example of what he's been able to do for the Grizzlies, diving on the floor for loose balls, hitting a big shot when needed. And now he's taking the ball to the hole more to score than to go in and try to throw it out for a 3 in that infield.
Yeah, he's I didn't really know much about him as a prospect. You saw a little flash of last season. He's a kind of like crafty finisher once he gets it to the rim. He pulls out some kind of like little moves with his footwork and whatnot. You're like, I wasn't expecting that. So yeah, it's overall it's been cool to see his progression because obviously his rookie season was really rough, and then start of last season wasn't great, but he's taking it all in stride. He's continued to work on his game, and he's become a legitimate contributor for his team now.
I think you got to credit Jake. He played 30-something games each of the last 2 years because of injuries.
Right.
And this offseason, he hired a chef, rededicated himself to being in shape. He came in this year thinner than he's ever been. And he said he just felt he owed it to himself to try to be in the best shape possible and give himself the best chance to stay on the floor, and he's been able to do that. He did sprain that ankle a couple weeks ago, only missed a couple games, and he's been right back out there, and he's been one of the more consistent players for the Grizzlies this season.
Well, one thing we've learned is a lot of these young guys, they have to learn how to be a professional, learn what it takes to be, and that includes not just hitting the weights or running. It includes your diet, it includes your sleep.
That's why Matt and I look to you, Jarvis.
No, you.
Not part of you too. That's where we're really looking at you.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things you have to do to keep yourself, to stay in the league, but to be a viable point, including the mind game of learning where can I contribute? What is it that I need to do? And of course, he's getting a big break to play because there's a couple of guys that are out. We're going to talk about that in a second. Grizz right now 3rd in the West. What do they have to do to stay there? Michael Wallace, what do you think about 3rd in the West as we enter the halfway point in the season? Is this a place where the Grizzlies would be comfortable? Do you think they can move up? How do you see it from out there in San Antonio?
Well, Jarvis, when you look at where they are 3rd in the West, it's very, very, very fluid right now because they're only a half a game ahead of the hard-charging Denver Nuggets right now. So a week ago, we were talking about their firm at number 2. They can hold off the Rockets. And now after you lose 4 out of 6, you slip down to 3, and possibly if you don't get a win tonight, Denver will pass you. They will move, basically up above you. So, if you're the Grizzlies, being top 4 in the West at the midway point of the season, if someone told you at the beginning of the season, would you take that? You absolutely would, because I felt like that's where they were projected to be, somewhere right around 3, 4, 5 in that area, and that's where they are. And we still haven't seen them have a sustained stretch of healthy games yet. Maybe that's still ahead of these guys, but no, you like where you are, but you got to take care of business. At the very least, you got to get a split here in San Antonio. A win tonight will go a long way in helping you feel a lot better after coming out of Houston.
Where the Grizzlies are in the Western Conference standings and where they are in relation to everybody else in the league. The Nuggets are coming on, but one thing you mentioned, staying in the West, you said it being number 4, that could be a good spot for the Grizzlies as they're projected, but they haven't had the full roster yet, and that's the thing that's just about to come to fruition here. G.G. Jackson, Vince Williams. Vince Williams may be another week away, but G.G. Jackson is going to play with the Memphis Hustle tonight. And G.G., that's a back-to-back the Hustle have at the Landers Center. You want to get down there to South Haven and see them play. But G.G. coming back, he's a wild card for the Grizzlies. Vince Williams, we know what he can do because we've seen him do it on the floor. G.G., just turned 20 years old. And Coach Jenkins says that Jackson and Williams should be back by the end of this month. G.G. could be, the end of the month is right around the corner, but he could be back next week for sure since he's going to be down playing with the Hustle. He underwent foot surgery after after an all-NBA rookie team season. He could have been Rookie of the Year. He just did not have enough games. He came on late in the season after all the injuries totally decimated the Grizzlies, and that's when they called him up from the Memphis Hustle. And Williams, VW, was limited to just 3 games this year due to a tough ankle injury and a stress reaction. He had that stress reaction before the season in his leg. Not a break, but it's like one of those things that you have to look at. They had to take his time, let that heal. He got back on the court for 3 games, and it's like, oh my God, everybody's having PTSD in the stands. He goes out with that ankle. It was like a high ankle sprain. We all saw it happen. It was a tough injury, and we knew that was going to take some time. But now Matt Infield looks like the cavalry. The horns have been sounded. The cavalry is on the way back, even though they will be role players when they come back. But these are guys that can really help this team.
Yeah, I said I'm curious to see how. I think Vince Williams Jr. is going to be a seamless fit no matter what. Just given his skill set. Right. Defends, handles the ball, can shoot a little bit. That fits anywhere. I'm curious to see what Gigi looks like in this new offense, just given he's not going to have the free reign he did last season because he's not going to get the same shots with Jared, he played with Jared last year, but Dez and all those guys healthy. So I'm curious what that looks like. I will also say maybe I'm giving this too much oxygen as someone who is perpetually on the internet too much. I know Grizzlies fans are, why is he going to South Haven? Why is he, all these other guys came straight. I don't know, dude. And I don't know that it really matters that much. Clearly, he's healthy enough. Maybe he wants to go to South Haven. We'll figure it out. As long as he's back fully healthy and can help the big club soon enough, which I would assume is Friday or Monday at the latest. Who cares, dude? It's going to be fine.
I mean, I think the bigger question here is getting these guys back. Talking about being perpetually on the internet, where are these minutes going to come from?
Yep.
Because already there's talk about the Grizzlies are playing too many guys, having this 10, 11-man rotation. The big three is not playing enough minutes. All right, well, here's 2 NBA caliber rotation players that are coming back. Somebody's got to not play if these guys are going to play. And if they're going to play minutes where they can be impactful, they're going to need more minutes than 5 minutes and a half. So somewhere you got to figure out how all this is going to play out. Coming into this season, we heard a lot about how the Grizzlies were going to have this bigger rotation because they were going to wear teams down and they were going to be able to outlast teams with this new offense up tempo. And I don't know if we've kind of seen the evidence of that quite yet. We're still playing these teams where teams play 7-8 guys and are able to get the win. So I think we're halfway through the season. There's still half season to go and there's still time to figure all this out. But it is interesting that if you want to have less guys play, all right, well, then what do you do with all these guys who we have? Because we have a lot of guys who should be playing.
Yeah, and Coach Taylor Jenkins had something to say about the guys coming back. Let's go listen to his soundbite right now.
With Gigi, I think he's a little bit closer than Vince. He's pretty much checked off everything. It's more just about reconditioning, get back to play. There may be opportunities with the hustle for his first exposure, to live 5-on-5 play. And then Vince, it's more of just court work. I think he's going to get up to full court stuff later in this week. He's progressing well. Timeline a little bit different. I think Gigi a little bit sooner than Vince.
All right, so you heard it from the coach himself. He thinks that, we're going to see these guys soon in a Grizzlies uniform. You mentioned that offense, run, go.
Yeah.
Well, we've had a lot of guys play, but we haven't had the full complement. Some guys get worn out. We'll see what happens as we go forward. Right now, we got to show you something that the Fox News Network did, FSN rather, the FanDuel. I'm sorry,
Sports Network.
FanDuel. I'm still back on the original. FanDuel did on Jaylen Wells, the Grizzlies rookie, who's really come on strong as starting in the rotation. He has started more games than any other people picked where he was if you combine them all. So let's look at this. It's a really nice feature. Take a look.
The Memphis Grizzlies select Jaylen Wells from Washington State University.
It was kind of crazy. Obviously, it was a 2-day draft, so I was going through the staircase to get down to the waiting area, whatever it's called. And I had no idea I was going to be a Grizzly. My agent didn't tell me. I really sat down at the table and they called my name. But yeah, it was a crazy experience. Knowing that you've worked all these years for this one moment, and then you finally hear it, and you're with your parents, and just being able to experience that with them. I don't think they even knew what to think.
Wells for 3, got it. Wells got by DeRozan and scored.
I've heard it's called the Underdog City. I went Division II to Division I to the NBA. And just throughout my whole career, I've kind of been that underdog. So just being able to be on a city and team that kind of embraces that, it's kind of speaks to me. It's kind of I feel like it's meant to be.
Jaylen Wells working behind the back, hesitation, puts it up and in. Jaylen Wells with the offensive rebound and the follow flush, and the Grizzlies have the lead. Bain, lob for Wells.
I think I'm a versatile player. I like to give energy on defense, just kind of make the winning play, honestly. That's what I like to do. I'm not trying to go out there and get the highest stats, get as many points as possible. I'm just out there to kind of win, wherever it's got to be defense, rebounding, and then obviously one of my biggest strengths is just my three-point shot, to space the floor and everything. So also just meshing well with the team. I think I'm able to find my role on a team and be able to excel in wherever that role is. So I think I'm really good at finding that, whatever it is, just is going to help us win.
Wells, another three. Good again. New career high for Jaylen Wells.
Number 0 is one we really like having on this team here, Jaylen Wells. And somebody who we really love having is behind the glass right now, the one and only CJ, who is going to have everything we need to know about the mailbag question of the week. CJ, you got it.
Yeah! It's time for the Sonic mailbag question of the week. Remember, if your question gets selected, we will read it off on air, and you will receive a $5 gift card to Sonic, where you can get some of the best damn chili cheese fries this side of the galaxy. Not the world, the galaxy. Also, y'all know Sonic got that good ice. Get over to Sonic, everybody. Congratulations to Luke Driver. He won this week's question of the week. His question: what are your all-time 5 favorite Grizzlies players? Exclude anyone on the current roster, since we all have so much love for our current players. That's according to Luke. Thank you, Luke, and thank you, Sonic.
Whoa, that's a really good question, especially when you hit us right off the top. I'm going to send it to Lang Whitaker from Grind City Media. Your top 5.
I'm going to go with the core 4.
Okay.
So we got Mark, Mike, Tony, Zach. And then my 5th is my old high school teammate, Sharif Abdur-Rahim.
Nice.
Sharif.
So
okay.
that's my 5 right there.
That sounds good. All right, Matt Infield, what about you?
So I did not grow up in Memphis. I've lived here for 2.5 years, but know enough about basketball to at least give somewhat of an educated answer on this question. I will also go the core 4. I will switch up. My 5th, I will go White Chocolate Jason Williams.
Oh, that's a nice
Jay
one.
Will. All right, Jay Will gets a big one from the original Memphis Grizzlies. Okay, I'll hit it with, I'll go Ja. Zebo.
No, they said we can't do current.
Nobody on the current?
Yeah,
okay,
take out Ja.
Zebo, T.A., Tony Allen, Pau Gasol. I got a Pau Gasol jersey. He's also one of the nicest guys.
Yeah,
sure.
Mike Conley.
Yep.
And then my last Grizzly to make that 5th one. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Jeez. That's hard because I'm going kind of core 4 and kind of original. I'll go with the Will of the Wisp, I called him. He's coaching right now on one of the I can't call his name right now. This hit me like really quick.
What number?
Oh shoot. He was shoot. He went to Xavier and he came in as part of the 10-man rotation on Hubie Brown's squad. James Posey.
Oh yeah, James Posey.
Thank you. You got it.
Shooter. He was
That's
a sniper.
James Posey was as tough as you could ever believe.
Yeah.
And he also took down Peja out in Sacramento one of those games. I really like that. And he could score, he could defend, he could do everything. That's just right off the top of my head. That's a heck of a question on the mailbag. We look forward to that. Mike Wallace, what do you say?
Hey, I'm going to go with, and correct me if I'm wrong, Lang, I'm going to go with the slam cover guys. I go with the core 4 and Rudy Gay. I think that team was just coming into its own when Rudy was traded out. I think they had one more year of maturity, and they could have broken through and gotten to the Western Conference Finals, which they did with Tayshaun Prince. But I'm going to go with a core 4 plus Rudy Gay. I love that team.
That too. That's a really good list. I think all our lists are really good, and we want to thank who was our mailbag question? That was a great mailbag. Luke, yeah, man, that was a great question. You really hit us hard with that one. Okay, when we come back on Grizz Beat, we'll go around the NBA. A lot of storylines out there, including what's going on with the disruption of the schedule because of everything going out in the LA area out there with all the big fires. For prayers out there. But we're going to take a break right now. We'll come back and tell you about that and more right here on Grizz Beat.
Grizz Nation, it's time to send Ja, Sharon, and Dez to the 2025 All-Star Game.
What did we just see, partner?
Take 3. Bane for 3. Bingo! This man Bane heating it up. Blocked by Jaren.
Most versatile power forward in the game today.
Head to NBA.com/vote, the NBA app, or simply use the QR code on the screen to send your Grizzlies to the All-Star Game today.
Our fans have a huge impact on our ability to play to the level that we're striving for.
Drop off, Durant. Oh! Well, you want wanted home crowd involvement.
I love those moments where you see our guys engaging in the fans, and the fans just get pumped up.
They are standing in FedEx Forum.
I would hate to be on the other side with the opposition when FedEx Forum's rolling. That's such an unbelievable relationship that our group has with our fans.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Thanks for showing up, Memphis. Nothing beats catching your Grizzlies IRL, and nobody knows that better than you. So next time you want to hit up a game, Ticketmaster's got your back with tickets to every upcoming matchup. Whether you're catching the Grizzlies at home or on the road, you'll find tickets at Ticketmaster, the official ticket marketplace of the Memphis Grizzlies and the NBA. Keep putting that jersey collection to use and get Grizzlies tickets today. There's no better brag than saying you saw it live. See you courtside again soon, Memphis.
Hey, don't miss the 23rd annual Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration Game presented by Ford and your Mid-South Ford dealers coming up Monday, January 20th, when the Grizzlies host the Minnesota Timberwolves. Tip-off in the afternoon. It's a 1:30 p.m. tip. Hey, get there early for the pregame ceremonies featuring this year's recipients of the National Civil Rights Museum Sports Legacy Award. They are Tommy Jet Smith, an Olympian track and field star, Amari Stoudemire, former Phoenix Suns and a great player, all-NBA player, Cheryl Miller, the sister of Reggie Miller, once scored 100 points in a high school basketball game and was an all-star All-American at USC. For more information and to purchase tickets, you can visit FedEx Forum, the box office, or visit Grizzlies.com today. Now, of course, we're honoring the game, Martin Luther King Jr. game, coming up on Monday. Great occasion, solemn occasion, always great basketball. 1:30 p.m. tip for that game. But also, we have to remember and be cognizant of what's going on in the NBA right now with all the fires going out in the LA basin out there in California. Millions of people affected, hundreds of thousands affected, losing homes and all kind of things like that because of the fires. And just so much going on. It has altered the NBA schedule because, you know, you can't really play out there when the smoke is really bad, the oxygen levels are not that good. And so we've already had several teams that have changed. The NBA just today announced another list of games that are going to be affected for teams playing out there in LA. You've seen some of the videos, just horrifying, horrific. The Santa Ana winds coming in, just blowing stuff everywhere. 70, 80, 90, 100-mile-an-hour winds. Not really anything you can do with that.
Just a humbling reminder, you can't beat Mother Nature.
That's true.
And I mean, really, you know, obviously all of our thoughts and prayers and everything go out to people affected, especially the firefighters that have just done such an incredible job fighting these fires and trying to get it under control. Obviously, these games will be made up. It's not the right thing to play games, get everything going on right now. You saw they moved the Rams playoff game on Monday to Arizona. It was cool to see them get a win and kind of dedicate that to LA. Fortunately, the LA Chargers could not uphold their end of the bargain on Saturday. But the Rams were one for two on the LA teams on the weekend. And, yeah, you know, basketball and sports in general will happen there when the time is right. But right now it's all about saving that area as much as possible.
I mean, think about the players and the coaches and, you know, the staff.
Redick.
Yeah, J.J. Redick's house is gone. Like, there's so many people who, as much as basketball is your job, like, it's not your life. And, you know, all these people have to focus on all this other stuff right now. And I get it. Like, you know, I don't think it's fair to ask other teams to have to come into the middle of that situation or referees or anybody. You know, like, there's so much that happens around an NBA game. So I totally get it. And, you know, we just hope for the best out there.
For the ones that play, Michael Wallace, you're out there in San Antonio. For the ones that play, how do you get your mind right for the games that will happen? Because a lot of I know some of the players, NBA players that live out in that area have, you know, done what they could do to help their neighbors out because, you know, some are fairly well situated, but they've gone up into the hills and into the Pacific Palisades and try to help those folks out over there. But then you got to think about trying to play basketball again. How do you do that?
Yeah, it's tough, man. And the LA Clippers and the Los Angeles Lakers both shared some images on their social media. Obviously, LA strong with LeBron James right there. And they had 2 games postponed. The Clippers, Kawhi Leonard spoke this morning at their shoot-around, and he was asked, hey, how's your family? Is everybody good? And he said, no, everybody's not okay. You guys saw the footage just like I did. Houses have been destroyed. Lives have been changed forever, and it's tough. So you could tell, like, Kawhi stepped away from the Clippers even before the games were suspended because he's from that area, and he was certainly impacted. One of the good notes, though, when things like this happen, we're a society that rallies around one another, and all of the LA professional sports teams combined to raise $8 million as an initial donation to the Red Cross and the recovery efforts out there too. So kudos to the league, to all of the leagues for coming together and stepping up in that way. I know much more needs to be done and much more can be done.
Yeah, there's really not much else you can say. You've seen people out there, you've seen the devastation, and it is devastation. Yeah. When you look at it, when your every neighborhoods, whole communities are just totally, and we're talking about thousands of homes out there, and there's 12 million people, I think, in the LA County and surrounding areas, and 20 million in Southern California. I think we only got like 7 million in this whole state. So, that's a lot of people that get affected, and it's good to see the NBA come through and the players come through and do the things that they can do to try to, help rectify or ease that situation. Moving forward, we got to talk about this. The Golden State Warriors are having some thoughts about what they may do with one of the favorite Grizzlies opponents, I guess you could say, Draymond Green. And I think Draymond put out a tweet about it. What's the future of Draymond and the Golden State Warriors? You see on your screen, it says, we are not going to jump and make the wrong decision because we're panicked. The Warriors right now aren't even in the play-in. That's what you set your organization back 5 years and 7 years, 5 to 7 years if you make the wrong decision. So what do you think about what Draymond might be caught up in at Golden State?
It's a pretty pragmatic statement for a guy who, along with Steph Curry, this is probably their last couple of gasps at trying to get that 5th championship. But I think he's right. Now, I will say their draft capital is in a better spot than I thought it was. They have their first-round pick for the next 5 years. But I guess the question is, what player are you adding to that team that's going to get them back to the level they were at the last couple of years? I don't think Jimmy Butler is that player. I think Jimmy Butler would help them. He would probably make them a playoff team. But are they coming out of the West with Jimmy Butler? I don't think so. People obviously point to a last gasp LeBron-Steph pairing in Golden State maybe. Don't really see that either. Really, what's put them in this position, they talked about the 2 timelines when Clay got hurt and Steph got hurt the year after he lost in the finals to the Raptors.
Yeah, he got hurt twice.
But really, the hallmark of what built the dynasty was the development of Steph, Clay, and Draymond. And really what's failed them on this timeline is Jonathan Kuminga is a good player. I don't think that he's what they hope to be. He hasn't hit his ceiling. Moses Moody, they used a first-round pick on him. He's a role player at best. But Jimsky hasn't given them anything this year. And obviously the one that they really whiffed on that really probably screwed the timeline up was taking James Wiseman, number 2 overall out of here in 2020 when there were other options on the board. So, yeah, I don't know how they ever get back to that point because they went with the depth thing this year and it worked for 20 games, and now they've been sliding since then. So it just might be the end of what was a great dynasty at one point.
And also Wiggins, he was so great in the NBA Finals, and since then he kind of fell off the table. I mean, look, if you look at it pragmatically, the guy who probably has the most trade value based on the contract he has is Draymond Green.
Yep.
He gets $25 million this year and next year, which is, half of what Jimmy Butler makes. Like it as far as NBA
and Jimmy
contracts
Butler
go,
makes a lot.
Jimmy Butler makes a lot, but Draymond can be effective, on his team in similar ways to Jimmy Butler. I wonder if there's some way to figure out something. The team that Draymond's gotten named and thrown around with before is Detroit. This young team, Draymond played at Michigan State.
Right.
Detroit's been good this year. They're actually really good. They're around 500, and they've got all these young guys. Could probably use some veteran, leadership, moxie, whatever you want to say.
What's he going to do, though? Teach them the bad boy ethic? We bring him back the bad boy Pistons?
Yeah, for sure, yeah. You bring back the bad boy thing with Draymond. I just think if you're Golden State, you already let Clay go. You got to figure out some way to get more scoring and offense and all that. For what all Draymond brings you, not a lot of it translates into numbers on the court. And right now, it's not translating to wins on the court either.
Yeah, I throw it out to Michael Wallace in San Antonio. You've seen Draymond play for many years now, and his game, as far as actual basketball, is not what it was when he first came into the league, but he has upped his technical game, I guess you could say, as far as the hijinks he gets involved with the other players and the officials. And that just isn't playing anymore, and it's kind of forcing the Warriors' hand. What do you think?
I mean, what great discussion, guys. You guys all made some great points on that. I think what the Warriors need to do is understand and realize that they're at a crossroads right now. They're looking at Steph Curry and saying, how can we continue to maximize his window and continue to compete with him? They may have to completely pivot, sit him down and say, hey, we need to go into a Kobe Bryant type discussion with you. Remember with the Lakers at the end, Kobe Bryant got that extra extension to sort of just be an ambassador for the younger team, get his numbers, make sure he was going to continue to be an attraction, but they really weren't going to be competitive, and they needed to go through a sort of a rebuild after Kobe retired. I don't know if the Golden State Warriors need to continue to double down and try to make this team work. They did it once already and won a championship 2 years ago in surprising fashion, but that was the last run for these guys. I think this is it for them. I just hope the Grizzlies don't have to match up with them, because for whatever reason, those guys seem to get to their best when they play the Memphis Grizzlies down there. But at the end of the day, they've had a remarkable run, 4 championships, future Hall of Famers. That organization has done got a brand new spanking building. That's phenomenal. And that was a legacy play. Now you got to figure out what the next step is.
Yeah, it's like, all good things must come to an end.
Yeah.
And, with Golden State and Steph Curry's known around the world. Everybody knows about night and all that stuff. But Draymond is being known more for his mouth and his other tactics. And the only thing about it that I believe is that they won't take just anybody who might be a good player. They have to have a big name out in San Francisco. And Jimmy Butler is the biggest name out there. Even a Cam Johnson, who's a really, really good player and could help them, doesn't have a big enough name.
But they don't have the assets to go get some of these guys, like 5 first-round picks. You can't trade all 5.
No.
So you can only go every other year. Like they don't have the assets. And what you don't want to do if you're the Warriors is what the Lakers did the last few years, what we saw the Knicks do forever, is just keep trying to leverage what you have right now to get somebody in here and not be good enough. The thing in the NBA, you either want to be really good or really bad.
Or really bad. You don't want to be in the middle.
The middle is the worst place to be, and that's kind of where they are right now. So they've got to figure out, maybe the best thing to do for Steph Curry is let him go somewhere else. Let him move on.
That ain't going to happen. I'm just going to say it right now.
For Steph Curry,
it might be the best thing, but that ain't going to – I don't see him ever wearing another uniform other than
the one name that made sense over the summer. I don't know how real the talks were, but when Larry Markkinen was theoretically on the table, I don't know if that was a leverage play by Utah or not, because that's a guy that in theory could have made this team better now and could have been your next star moving forward. But yeah, getting a Butler or a LeBron, like someone at the end of their career, on the back half of their career, I just don't think makes sense for them.
Yeah, I don't know. But, one thing that does make sense is what happened with Jaren Jackson Jr. of the Grizzlies as he pays homage to his alma mater. And we got a little clip here. We're going to show you what he did with his alma mater, Michigan State. Jaren Jackson Jr. actually got into the ticket purchase deal. Let's take a look and see what this is here. Let's take a look.
Spartan Dogs, I appreciate all the support from you guys. I'm always watching from afar. I'm always tuned in. As y'all get closer to March, make sure y'all lock in and get right. I'll see y'all boys.
Jaron sent an autographed jersey for each one of you.
Let me get one. First of all, Jaron, I want to thank you. You've done us proud over the years. You're having a great year, and we all appreciate that. And, you're in the top 3 in the league right now. It's getting near All-Star break, which we expect you in the All-Star game. But thank you so much from each and every one of us and each guy. Step up.
Hey, we expect to see him repping the Grizz up there in
pure class
in Michigan with the Jaren Jackson Jr. jersey. And Tom Izzo, I think, repeats what we all believe, that Jaren will be an All-Star this year.
Better be. He deserves to be. If he's not, it's travesty.
Yeah. I mean, Jaren's also a good reminder of when the Big Ten used to be a power college basketball conference. Now it's all the SEC. I can just feel CJ shooting darts through me right now.
All those eyes are piercing.
They're coming straight through the glass from his look
right
at
now,
him.
the SEC is
you don't
the
want to turn
power,
around
the
and
power
look
college
at
basketball conference. But Jaren's a good reminder of that. And it was great to see that classy Tom Izzo.
He just sent you a text.
I'm sure he did.
Let me see if I can't call it up because mine is.
I think it went right to me.
ID. But out there in San Antonio, Jaren Jackson Jr. has been an ambassador on many, many fronts for himself and for the Grizzlies, and this is just another reason to see, well, this guy's just a class act, right, Michael Wallace?
Oh yeah, No question about it. No question about it. Before Michigan State, or the day that they released that video, I was at shoot around with Jaren. I believe we were in Houston, and I ran up to him and I showed it to him, and he had forgotten. He didn't know when they were going to do it and when it was going to be public, but he got a great kick out of seeing how the Izzo part of it worked out, and to see a whole team of young men open up and unbox your jersey. That's a remarkable feeling, man. And Jaren was like a kid in the candy store when he saw it. And I know he was happy to do it, and he's certainly happy that they showed the love right back.
It's a wonderful thing when you have players that give back to their universities and to their communities, and also get involved in the community that they're in. Jaren Jackson has been involved in so many things in voting here in Memphis and Shelby County, and in some women's initiatives here. And it's just, when you have players like that, you have to really, really just embrace the fact that, hey, look, you love Memphis. Memphis loves you back. Well, he definitely loves Memphis and what he's doing, and he's taking care of his alma mater. Just a great thing.
He's gotten, and you can see the work he's put in off the court to get better as a basketball player every year. And now he's
we were
at this
talking
point.
about that PTSD, about injuries. He was injured a lot at the beginning of his career.
But he's sort of grown into his body now.
Yes.
And I wrote in the Grind City Media newsletter this week, when Jaren gets the ball in the perimeter and they kind of clear it out and he's going one-on-one, it's like Inspector Gadget. Like you don't know, you don't know which tool is going to come out of that overcoat, but something's going to come out. He's going to get a hook shot, a half hook, a dunk, whatever, a pull up, a floater, a three. Like he's got all these different things in the bag, and it's been impressive to watch him use all that stuff this season.
And hopefully we'll get to watch him in the NBA All-Star game or games, I guess you could say, because they've gone through the 3-game format this year. Hey, when we come back on Grind City Media, we're going to do this. We'll take a look at what's coming up for the week for the Grizzlies. A lot of big games, including the big game here on Monday. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Grizz Nation, it's time to send Ja, Jaren, and Dez to the 2025 All-Star Game.
Oh! What did we just see, partner?
Take three! Take three! Bane for three. Bingo! Desmond Bane heating it up. Blocked by Jaren!
Most versatile power forward in the game today.
Head to NBA.com/vote, the NBA app, or simply use the QR code on the screen to send your Grizzlies to the All-Star Game today.
Kroger shoppers and Grizz fans, want exclusive last-minute discounted ticket deals texted straight to you during the Grizzlies 2024-2025 season? Sign up with the new Kroger Buzzer Beater deal. Fans can sign up by texting Grizz to 636-479 or visit your local Kroger store in the Delta Division and scan the QR code. By signing up, you agree to receive recurring automated promotional and personalized marketing text messages from the Memphis Grizzlies. Consent is not a condition of any purchase. Message frequency varies. Message and data rates may apply.
There's no substitute for experience, the knowledge gained from having been there before, and the passion to share what you know to make everyone around you better. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard. Bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
I'm not going to let you get away with this.
Yeah, that's fine. I deserve it.
You walked in here on Friday afternoon and said
the smoke.
Every day for the last 2 years, you have said, I am John Buckeye.
I said once the playoff matchups were made, you asked what I thought. I said Ohio State's going to beat them by double digits. I said Ohio State's. I walked it all back and went John Vol. I joined General Nealon's Navy.
The Chris Vernon Show, live on weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
All right, everybody, this is the lightning segment here on Grizz Beat at Grind City Media. It's a great day we've had right here. Every Wednesday, 2 o'clock, you can see us. Right now, since we are at game number 41 tonight, we are exactly in the middle of the season, which brings us to our Midseason Awards. We're going to go around the panel here. I'll start it out. Including in the Midseason Awards, we're going to have Coach of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, those kind of things. So let's throw up the graphic by Jarvo and see what Jarvo says. This is mine. I said MVP, and I hated to say it, but I got to say it. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, SGA from OKC. He's the best player on the best team in the West. I think people are, from some of the players from Boston. They've always been up there, but Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's having a great year, and his team is at the top right now. Coach of the year, you got to go with Daigneault from OKC because they are the leaders at the first poll here, or the midway poll of the season in the NBA. He's doing a great job. Is this his second season?
Third, I think.
Third season, and he's got a really good roster, and he's doing a lot with it. And they're playing without Chet. Chet has missed night? Did he even play a game?
Yeah, he did.
He played the first 2 weeks of the season, I think, and then broke his leg. But he's doing a tremendous job there. Defensive Player of the Year, you got to go with Victor Wembanyama of the Spurs. He's averaging about almost 4 block shots a game, 3.9, I think, and he deflects a lot more shots than he blocks. So you got to go with him there. Rookie of the Year, I'm going to say Jaylen Wells of the Memphis Grizzlies. No other player at his position in the draft is doing what he has done, has started as many games, and he's starting, even if he was the number 1 pick in the draft, he is starting on a team that's top 3 in the Western Conference of the NBA and has done a really good job of holding down that spot. He could score. We've seen him defend like crazy at his size, 6'8", and Jaylen Wells would be my pick for Rookie of the Year. Most improved player, I got to say it, Jalen Green just dropped 42 on the Grizz the other night. He had a string of 6 30-point games coming into that matchup against Memphis. Jalen Green is a really, really good. Could have seen him in a Tiger uniform if the G League Ignite had not come along at the last second and give him that bag of cash. But, you got to do what you got to do, and Jalen Green has all the aspects to be one of the top players in the league going forward. That's my list. What's your list going forward, fellas?
We go to me. All right. I guess we'll go by list here.
Hey, we got Michael Wallace. I think Michael's next. Matt, what you got?
Another triple-double the other night almost made me change my mind at the last minute, but you can give it to him every year. He's reached that Jordan status where every year he's clearly putting up numbers to be the best player or the most valuable. But to me, Coach of the Year, hey, listen, man, Ime Udoka showed exactly what he means to this organization. Remember, man, people were just straight ridiculing the Rockets 2 years ago. They were young, they were knuckleheads, they were undisciplined. When Stephen Silas got let go, it was like, he couldn't, it was the inmates were running the asylum, so to speak. But Ime has come in and really laid down the law, and these guys respect him. They have a healthy fear of him. And, again, man, this is one of the greatest coaches in the league right now. And I think he's showing it in Houston right now. Defensive Player of the Year, Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know that might be out of left field a little bit, but his impact on the game on both ends of the floor, particularly when he wants to engage defensively, I don't think anybody can score on that guy. He can control your entire front line based on how he's able to spread his wings and defend to do it that way. Rookie of the Year, Jaylen Wells, I agree. With Jarvis, I don't think a rookie out there is doing it better and more consistently based on what he's asked to do. And most improved player to me, Norman Powell. What you're seeing this guy do this year with the Clippers, he stepped into the Paul George role. He's averaging 10 more points this year at almost 24 a game than he did last year. That speaks to improvement to me, and that's why the Clippers are right there in the mix for the playoffs.
Let's go with Lane Whitaker. What's your list look like?
All right, all you guys are picking coaches of very good teams. The best team in the NBA record-wise is the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yeah.
I'm going with Kenny Atkinson as the best coach in the NBA. The way the Cavs have been playing is awesome. I went Jokic MVP just because he's still doing what he's always done. He's lost some of his running mates there, and he's still putting up triple-doubles every single night. Single-handedly has revived Russell Westbrook's career. He's got the Nuggets charging back into this playoff thing. To me, Gilgeous-Alexander, he's a very good player, but he has a lot of help, and Jokic doesn't have that help in Denver. Defensive Player of the Year, I'll go with Wembanyama. I'll go with Jaylen on Rookie of the Year like we talked about. And then Cade Cunningham with the Pistons. They've been 500 this season. He missed a lot of time the last couple of years with injuries. The team was terrible. I don't know if people realize he's averaging 25 points a game and almost 10 assists a game, 9.4 assists per game for that Detroit team. Also 6.6 rebounds per game. He's been awesome for them this season. Ivy has gone out for them, but he's been carrying them since that injury. And I think Cunningham has been fantastic for Detroit. Matt, who do you have on your list?
All right. I want to see a new guy win MVP. I want to go with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, but there is no voter fatigue with my picks. I'm going with Nikola Jokic. How does this guy get better? All-time great offensive player. I'll tell you how he gets better. He is leading the league in three-point percentage right now, averaging the most points of his career, the most assists of his career, second most rebounds. As you referenced, lost Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Yep. Aaron Gordon has been hurt a lot of the season. Jamal Murray went crazy last night, but for the most part, the season hasn't been as good. Shai's having an awesome year. If that's your pick, I have no beef with it, but Jokic is amazing. Kenny Atkinson, yeah, I'm with you. The Cavaliers are on pace to win 71 games, and no one expected them to be this kind of team this year. So I don't know how you don't go with him. Wemby is a chalk pick, but I mean, this is all-time great defensive player loading. Jaylen Wells, I'm with you. The three-point shooting, especially the defense, he has been a huge part of why the Grizzlies are the third best team in the Western Conference right now. Going different Jaylen for most improved player, Jalen Johnson, the Atlanta Hawks. He was my preseason pick, averaging 19 over 10 rebounds per game. Hawks are a little interesting. They're in the play-in right now, but he's been a big part of that, and he's got future all-star, if not this season, coming down the road, in my opinion, for sure.
An interesting and eclectic list. We've got different players on there. A lot of us are agreeing on Jaylen Wells. Of their one-game funk, you don't want to lose two in a row. And San Antonio at 19-19 is a really good team. Then we got Minnesota here on Martin Luther King Day celebration game. 1:30 p.m. here at FedEx Forum. And speaking of the Martin Luther King Day game, this big celebration, and of course all the things that are going along with that, there's Grizzlies have a thing what they call a Day of Service, where all the players get involved in several acts around the city. We got a little video we can show you right now of what the Grizzlies players were doing during their MLK Day of Service.
Welcome to our 2025 MLK Day of Service.
Yeah, it's great to see the Grizzlies players, not just the Grizzlies players, but a lot of people in the organization get out and help in whatever way that they can. The camps around town, of course, the big Grizzlies Junior NBA camp here. And you saw Gigi Jackson in that video right there. Gigi was doing the shoulder thing. Of course, he's put on a few pounds now. He's up to about 235 and looking good. And Lang, you will see him tonight at the Landers Center with the Memphis Hustle against the remix, right?
Yeah, the Rip City remix. I was there that day at the Memphis Sports and Event Center, and Jarvis, I'm not there for the cameras. I was doing a lot of the behind the scenes work, helping get all the tables set up and all that stuff. I hear you laughing, Mike. Helping doing everything. But there was about a dozen Grizzly employees who we got there early and kind of got everything ready for people to come in and build all that stuff. I learned how to use a trash compactor that day. I learned lots of different things. So spent a long day there, but it was awesome to see the players show up and just have fun. And Gigi, like we say, he's 20. He's still a kid.
Yeah, he's still a kid. Yeah.
And so when the kids see Gigi, he's not that far removed from being there and getting to meet his heroes. I think he understands what it means for those kids, and it's cool to see Gigi always interact with those kids and spend time with them.
Mm-hmm. And it's something that we'll see going forward. This is the 23rd year of the Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. And Matt, let's go back out to San Antonio one last time. Of course, Michael Wallace, the great Michael Wallace out there. What do you see coming up in the game tonight against Wemby and the Spurs?
Oh, man, I see the Grizzlies coming out with a lot of focus. I think they want to pressure. I think they want to be very, very physical with San Antonio, because San Antonio is not known as a physical team. So this is a chance for the Grizzlies to kind of work on something that they were exposed for, and now they try to pay it forward. But before we get out of here, man, Jarvis, I know the MLK celebration and the MLK, just the entire event, means a lot more to you as a native guy who came from here. And if we can end the show just with you sharing your thoughts about how remarkable this weekend is. Obviously, it's bittersweet, but what have you seen from this city over the course of the years as they've learned to understand and embrace what this MLK legacy is all about?
Well, it's really something because, I was a kid here when Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated at the Lorraine Motel, which is really literally around the corner from FedEx Forum. I remember all the wailing in the neighborhood, everybody running out and saying, what just happened? The half tracks from the National Guard rolling down our street, the helicopters in the air at night, and then saying I was 11 years old at that time, so I was old enough to know what was going on. And it's like, goodness gracious, what has happened in my city? But as I've grown and as I've seen, Memphis had the reputation as a backwater river town. I think that was in the New York Times, they called us. But the city has come together. People, as much as it can in this day and age, people have started to realize that, hey, look, we got to work together in this deal in order to lift us all up. Of course, the Grizzlies coming to town was a great thing. And Michael Heisley, the original owner of the Grizzlies, did a great thing in coming up and working with the NBA and getting the MLK Day celebration game in our city. It's a staple right now on that day, as usually the first game of the day. Sometimes, you get the prime time deal, but it's just been a great to see the city rally around this effort and the things that Martin Luther King Jr. has done. I know you came from Long Island down here to Memphis, but you've seen a lot in your days here.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I've covered the MLK Day game. This will be the third year that I've covered it, and yeah, it's just so much bigger than the NBA or just basketball itself. You could really feel the pride of the city. And obviously, it's a bit of a solemn occasion, just given why it's held in this city. But at the same time, I think that Memphis and Memphians can take solace in knowing that they've made good out of it.
I grew up in Atlanta, Jarvis, and I kind of grew up in the legacy of Dr. King.
Right.
I grew
His
up
church, Ebenezer
not
Baptist
far
Church
from Ebenezer.
there.
I went to school, right around the corner from the King Center. His whole inner circle was part of Atlanta's inner circle. So Andrew Young was my mayor. John Lewis was my congressman. Ralph David Abernathy was around. Hosea Williams. All those guys were part of the fabric of Atlanta.
That's the SCLC.
I went to school with all their kids and, grew up as part of all that. So, but I'd never seen it from the Memphis point of view. I have always seen it from the Atlanta point of view, Dr. King's life and legacy. And getting to celebrate it here has been special to me. And it's one of my favorite events we have every year here.
If you get a chance, get to the National Civil Rights Museum located just around the corner from FedEx Forum here. It is the National Civil Rights Museum. Come there, come with your kids, and just see what the legacy is all about. And maybe you too will be inspired to make this place a better place. That's it for Grizz Beat today. We want to thank Matt Enfield from Action News 5, GCM's Lang Whitaker, and of course on the road, the great Michael Wallace. You'll hear him on the call with Eric Hasseltine tonight as the Grizzlies take on the San Antonio Spurs. We will be back next Wednesday to tell you how it all came out. We'll see you then on Grizz Beat.
That's game. Thanks for running with us for another episode of Grizz Beat. Join us each Wednesday at Grind City Media for all the latest insight and analysis on the Grizzlies.